Hey knitters, let's talk about our newest sweater pattern, Spicebloom. So this is a raglan yoked sweater with an Intarsia floral detail on the body that wraps around the side. And I'm going to walk you through some of the customizations that you can do for this pattern and a little bit about how the construction works. So first things first, when you cast on this pattern, we actually work half of the yoke flat, and this is to achieve this nice scoop neckline. So you'll be working back and forth, working these increases along the front. And when you get to the appropriate depth, you'll be casting on stitches through the middle of the neck and then joining and working the remainder of your raglan yoke in the round. And you'll notice on this sweater that our raglan seam is in a straight line. It actually creates this nice S shape, and that really helps to hug the curves of your body where your arm joins your body. And you want to focus on your row gauge and make sure that it maintains consistent between when you're knitting flat and when you are knitting in the round. Because if your row gauge ends up being too short, your yoke obviously won't be long enough. It's going to be too tight in your armholes and you'll get some puckering around your increases here. So do keep track of that as you're knitting. One way to check, of course, you can always check your row gauge. You can measure your row gauge, or you can check in the schematic and compare the depth of your yoke to what's written in the schematic. So how you want to do that, if you imagine that I had this knot on a dress form, you want to hold your sleeve up so that your raglan lines match on either side, and you actually measure here from the top of the shoulder down to the bottom of the yoke. So you're not measuring on an angle, you're not measuring along your raglan line, you're going from the top of your shoulder, so not where your increases are, but half of your shoulder stitches from the top there down to where your yoke ends. And if that measurement matches the schematic, then you're good to go. Another area where you want to check on gauge is when you're knitting your sleeve. So if, for example, you're knitting a size with less ease, like 2 inches of positive ease, which is on the smaller end, check the schematic, see if those bicep measurements look comfortable to you, and make sure your gauge stays on point. Your other option would be if you want to increase that sleeve circumference a little bit to give you a little more roominess, you can always just cast on an extra 2 to 4 stitches under the arm, and that will give you a little bit more room to go. So you'll notice that this yoke sits a little higher than a top-down circular yoke. So as you can see here, basically where my leaf starts is where our yoke ends and we begin knitting the body. So when you try it on, don't be alarmed if it seems high. As long as your measurements match, then you're good to go. And when you split for the sleeves, we immediately begin working our Intarsia motif. So if you want to have a longer sweater, what you'll want to do is add on more rows of stockinette in the main color before you begin working your colorwork chart, because you can't add any more length after because the chart is all done. If you want a sweater that's shorter, you can of course end the chart at any time and do your ribbing as you like. What else can I say? Okay, so the neckline, we pick up stitches at the very end for the neckline, and you can always customize this a little bit using picking up more or less stitches or using a different needle size. So for example, if you wanted to have a higher neckline, you could pick up less stitches. It will pull your fabric up. Or if you knit it and it feels too tight, you could try going up a needle size or picking up a few more stitches, and that'll allow you a little wiggle room with the shape of your neckline. And what else can I say? We tried a lot of different color combinations with this sweater, and we loved both like the natural floral tones as well as more like high contrast neon colors or crazy colors. What am I trying to say? Basically, I'm saying don't feel like you need to choose flower colors for the flowers. There's a lot of other colors you can choose. The leaf colors don't have to be green. You can really experiment with your swatch and see what colors go together. So it looks great if you're going more for a natural flower color, or if you're going for something more abstract as well. It looks awesome. And that is all I have to say. Good luck. We can't wait to see your final sweaters.